Hello everybody. Uh, this video is regarding how to prepare for the UGC NET GRF. So many queries have been answered on this related topic, so I thought why not to share a brief video over the topic. Let me be very clear. Those who are aspiring to clear the UGC NET GRF or those who are preparing for this paper, they need to see this paper in its entirety. And what do I mean by this is UGC NET has a very different kind of examination pattern these days than it has a few years back or few months back. Rather, since when this paper has been started being taken care by NTA, the pattern has drastically changed and upgraded. So, if you are trying and you are looking for this, first of all, please do very basic scanning regarding the paper pattern, and it is very simple because on the UGC NET's website or NTA website there is the general guidelines regarding the paper, which is there. I have also shared two links in the description of the video where you can find these guidelines, right? So just have a go through because everybody has so many queries and they are very elementary queries for which you should not depend on external sources too much, because sometimes if somebody does not have the right answer, he or she might mislead you, right? And nowadays it is very easy to find the answer to such basic queries because all these things are given in that one particular bulletin regarding queries like when the exam is conducted, for how long exam is conducted, what is the exam pattern, what is the syllabus, whether there is negative marking or not. All these very elementary questions: who is eligible to give the exam, what are the name of the courses who can give the exam, what do you mean by examination center, how to apply, all these stuff, entire thing has been taken care in that one single bulletin. So for that basic thing, don't go here and there. You will waste your time and might end up doing mistakes. Once you are through with that, this is the very elementary detail that you should be aware for UGC NET. First, the exam is for 3 hours and it comprises of two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 is for 100 marks containing 50 questions, and paper 2 is for 200 marks containing 100 questions. Every question is for 2 marks. Till date, UGC NET is not uh, considering negative marking. So you can be rest assured and you can be happy that there is no negative marking till date. I don't know whether it would be included in future or not. Then there are certain shifts of the exam in which the exam has to be conducted. It might change, but this is the latest schedule as per the UGC, right? And once you enter the examination hall, please be very careful. These days, you are under the CCTV surveillance. Don't try to talk here and there. Reason being, first of all, it will distract you. Second, if somebody you are talking to states anything which you don't know, or says something which starts bothering you, it will dampen your entire exam. It will spoil your entire exam. So please, for 3 hours, be stick to yourself. After 3 hours, you have entire life to speak to your friends how the paper is, what all happened in the paper, how the paper come, what you did, what you not did. But in the examination, please try and avoid these things. Once stated this, the entire this lecture is basically more focused on how to take care of the basic steps which are necessarily for taking or clearing the GRF. Definitely, I cannot speak on on all the different subjects, but what I'm trying to give you here is the what is definitely required. Be you appear for any subject under UGC, but this is the something which needs to be there, which needs to be cracked if you are targeting GRF, and that is in the first paper you have to cross 30 marks. The more you cross, the better it is. Reason being, it will reduce your burden over the second paper. And nowadays, the pattern that UGC has adopted, the second paper toughness level is increasing day by day. So you would not like to risk yourself on your subject knowledge. First paper is still elementary, very simple as compared to the second paper. And if you cross 30, 32 marks, then there are very high chances that you are closing towards your GRF. And trust me over that, saying this, and it is a tested thing and proven thing. Now, this entire lecture would be more focused on the paper one, and I would be also highlighting what aspects of paper one is nowadays ruling paper two. Don't take paper one as something which you can do and you are more interested in your subject and you are not of kind of paper one stuff, and so you are thinking you can take care of paper one and you can manage your score in the paper two. No, that will not happen. That cannot happen. These types in these type of exam which UGC is setting nowadays. And in the coming slides, I will be sharing why. So one good thing going forward is to make you know that UGC has started to state that they will be asking how many questions from every unit. So these all are the units as per the latest syllabus, all the topics as per the latest syllabus that I would be discussing individually in the further slides. And 5 questions from each topic would be coming in paper one. 10 topics, major topics, 5 questions each, 50, right? So on the basis of this, you can easily identify and try to arrange your tough topics and try to know what is your strength and what is your weakness. See, before even starting and working on your topics, you have to be very, very careful that what are your strengths and weaknesses. Everybody cannot be the master of all the 10 topics. You need only 30, 35 marks from paper one. So keep your weaker areas in that 15 marks. Even if you keep 3 topics out of your reach and you just do that you get simpler questions from them, you will be able to attempt. For example, 15 questions, your toughest areas, but still you will be able to manage crack 5 questions out of them. That much preparation is required in those 15 questions or those 3 topics, but still be sure that there are other topics where you can score. So there is nothing like that 30 marks criteria cannot be matched. It is very, very simple. The only problem is we don't know how to organize. So try to see which all topics you are very comfortable with, right? Now starting with the teaching aptitude. Teaching aptitude has taken a slight change. One more thing even before starting is please, please, please don't make this mistake. Don't try to prepare your UGC NET exams from the books that are available in the markets in which UGC NET exam solved question papers are there and as well as theories are there. If you will go by those theories, let me be very frank, they are not as per the standards. You will read them and you will get confused. It is always better to only refer the books that are available into the market for the previous 10-year question papers with the answer key. That's it. And I will also like to be very frank over here. At times it has been observed that certain answer keys are wrong. So don't get bogged down by every if certain answer as per your imagination it was something different and the answer key is different. Just try to gain further insight. Or nowadays UGC have started uploading the answer keys. Try to cross check from there on, right? So please, for the theories, don't be dependent on the exams that are on the sorry, not the exam, on the books that are available into the market. Please refer to the standard course books, like for example, Khan and Jain in FM, Philip Kotler for marketing, right? So these are certain standard books that I have mentioned over here, so that you know exact answers, right? If you go down by with the non-standard books, then it would be very difficult to understand the topics. And nowadays, UGC is all about conceptual clarity. Gone are the days where you can just cram past your 10-year papers and you can just vomit it out and you have cleared your UGC net. No, this will not happen. You have to have the conceptual clarity, right? So saying this, the very first topic that from the paper one is teaching aptitude. Teaching aptitude is something which has changed a lot. One book that covers this topic in good sense is KVS Madan. That is a good book uh, to this topic, because if you will go for research for book, it will be very troublesome. But the content that is given in that book, that is, I think, sufficient. Not sufficient, but is good enough. So there you can have this, and try just have one logic for teaching aptitude, which will help you click your answer is put yourself into the shoes of a teacher. Don't try to analyze the question from the viewpoint of a student. I know it would be a difficult task because we are not being teacher, but try to put yourself into the shoes of the teacher. If you will try to check the answer from the concept or from the mind of a student, you will make a mistake. This exam is for teachers, lecturers, professors. They want to check that aptitude. They don't want to check the student's aptitude. Please be very clear for that, right? For example, a student is misbehaving in the class, or so there can be an option you can throw out the student. There can be an option you can ask him to behave. There can be an option you can deduct the marks. There can be an option you can have a one-to-one session and try and understand why he is misbehaving. Is there any reason that might be your lecture delivery is not good? Something like that. So the last option is the most appropriate to have a discussion. Why is the student misbehaving? Because a teacher is there to develop a student. He or she is not there to take revenge or to give punishments. No, that is not the task of a teacher. He has to always reach to the root cause that why the student is not able to learn, what is the problem, and then try to rectify. So this kind of aptitude is what UGC NET is looking for. Next is research aptitude. This is one of the important topic. All the questions, it is very simple to click all the 5 questions from the research aptitude, because generally they are very simple questions, straightforward questions based on the formulas or on sampling or on one way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA, t-test, z-test. These are the certain common questions. When you will practice past few year papers, you will get to know what kind of questions they are asking. But try and do this. These topics are there in this subject other in subject 2 also, if you are dealing with the commerce or management papers, right? Okay. Next is one more thing, the method of research over here: experimental, descriptive, historical, qualitative, quantitative. Try and understand. Nowhere it is written that if a research is experimental, it cannot be qualitative. Most of the students make this mistake because they don't have the research background and they think it can be of any one of type. No, 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 no. Try and understand with an example. There is a girl and she has a fair skin also. There is a boy who is fat also. So if I like to create two different groups, I can create a group on gender here, as well as I can create a group on complexion, as well as I can create a group on body weight. But in both the example, you can see female is having a fair complexion also, and a boy was having a heavy body weight. So this can happen. This can also be possible in research also, right? Moving forward, comprehension, reading comprehension, that is the passage that is starting to come. Be very careful. There is only one pitfall when you are going for the reading comprehension. First, try and understand, is reading comprehension, what type of question they are asking. If reading comprehension is asking the question such as what the author means, what the author is trying to say, what would be the conclusion in your sense, be very very careful. These type of unseen passages have very high chances of getting wrong answers. Don't waste too much time in solving this type of reading comprehension. Or at least there are 5 questions. try to avoid too much time giving to such questions where they are asking the intent, they are asking the objective, they are asking for alternate conclusions. No, these are not the right type of question to be attempted in a crunch time. Do them once you are done your 30 questions and you have no nothing else to attempt in the UGC net, then go back to these questions, right? Communication, that is a simple topic, not much to discuss over here, right? Uh, Logical reasoning, yeah. This is something very, very important, and that's why I would like to give maximum time in this entire video over this particular topic. All the highlighted topics over here, they are the defining the UGC net exam patterns nowadays. First is argument form, then evolution and distribution, deductive and inductive reasoning, validity of arguments. Trust me, your second paper is also using these logical concepts in framing the questions. Be very clear how to attempt these types of questions. It does not matter what is written inside the question, it matters how to proceed with these question frames. Once you know the right logic to apply to each question frame, the probability of having a right answer increases manifold. If you are able to click 3 right questions out of 5, you are in a very good shape. Great if you can click 4 or 5, right? Based on these topics, there would be somewhere around 50 odd questions in this subject too. I don't know about rest of the subject, but yes, for management and commerce, this is very much there. So let us try and understand. First example is from Venn diagram. Earlier, these type of questions used to come where all A make noise, some machine make noise, and then we have to figure out what the question are trying to say. Now, these questions weightage is getting reduced. I will not say they are definitely not there, they are there, but the question which are gaining the momentum is something like this: argument and inference. They will give you one argument and then they will give you inference, and then they will ask you whether the argument is valid or the inference drawn from the argument is valid, invalid, or doubtful, long drawn one. This is you have to understand. How, first of all, in this type of question, you have to be very clear what argument is. Then another term that you have to be clear is what type of arguments are available. Like there are valid argument and there are invalid argument. Then only you can state that whether the inferences can be drawn or not. So this is the entire chart. Now it does not matter what is written in front of argument. What matter is whether you are able to comprehend whether it is a valid argument or invalid argument. Second, are you able to comprehend whether the inferences drawn is from the valid argument or from the invalid argument? Then only you would be able to attempt this question. Another type of case that is defining is argument is strong or weak or something like this. For example, you have to now understand what type of statements makes the argument strong or weak. For example, I say Mr. A is rich. My second argument is Mr. A is having a good business running from ages. So both the argument definitely supports the statements. But if I will say Mr. A is rich, Mr. A is male, they don't have any relation, right? Mr. A is rich, Mr. A is spending too much. What kind of relation they are drawing? So you have to know how argument gains a strength and how argument gets weakened. Third example is statement and assumptions. This is another example. And all these examples that I have taken over here is from the sample paper of the UGC NET latest syllabus only. So try and understand these type of questions can very much be there in the exams. So these type of examples that I shared, these are the higher level reasoning or the logical reasoning questions which are defining the pattern of UGC net, because this requires some sound thinking, some sound logical inferences to be drawn. है ना? And this is what they are looking for. So do not take this logical reasoning section lightly, especially the highlighted topics. It will be very, very handy in your second paper also. Now, data interpretation. Most of the times I have come across people saying that DI is time consuming, doing this and that. Trust me, it is not. The only problem is we are out of practice. For example, if I will share in 2018 when I gave my first exam where there was a DI. For the very first time, DI was introduced. And at that time in the syllabus, it was not mentioned that DI would be there. Or even if it has been mentioned, we were not able to locate it. Let us put it that way. But still, DI came. Most of the people tried to solve the DI and they spent their 30 minutes because they were not comfortable. But on the contrary, I left the DI because I knew I was not in touch with the DI. I completed my rest of the paper and then in the last when I get back to the I got the trick and was able to solve it in the 4 minutes. So if something comes over there which you are not comfortable with, try and leave it. Don't try it. You are not here to solve each and every question. No, that is not required. And even if that is required, then please make sure you first attempt those questions where you are 100% sure your score would be good, rather than attempting those questions which are your weakest areas. You need to learn the art of screening the paper. It might take 1 or 2 minutes, etc., but in the longer run, you would be in a much better frame and in a much better position. Now you would be questioning that how we can scan the paper when paper is in electronic form. I agree, but suppose you hit a very first question, it's an unseen passage. You know that from unseen passage, 5 question comes. You read the passage and you see that it is not a kind of unseen passage you are comfortable with. Straight away jump to 6th question. Is it from the topic? Just look at the topic. Is it your strength in topic? Do it. If not, skip. If it is your strong topic, do it. If not, skip. By doing this, you would be first, in the very first attempt, you would be going through all your strong areas. Then you would, as in the electronic form, there is an advantage that all the unmarked answers are highlighted. Then you can go back to those questions and try and attempting them. In the second attempt, try and finish the entire paper. You will be in a much, much better framework. Try and understand. Don't try to solve each and every question from in the same sequence. No, that is not advisable at all. That is the biggest mistake that most of the aspirants do. ICT, it is surprising that from the past, sometimes I have seen that question on blockchain, barricading has started to come. And now these topics are not from the traditional ICT. These topics are from the AI or artificial intelligence or from the later technologies that are coming into the information. So just have a look on these terms, latest terminologies that can be handy, right? And one more thing, try and understand when sometimes what happens is there is not the only way to learn everything. Always knowing the answer is not a way to attempt the answer. Elimination is also a process. You see a question, you know these three cannot be the answer. Eliminate. Fourth one has to be the answer. ये जरूरी नहीं है कि मुझे ये पता हो कि इसका आंसर यही है. अगर मुझे ये भी पता है कि ये तीन इसके आंसर नहीं है तो चौथा डेफिनेटली आंसर होगा. People and environment. This is something which is more related to pollution control, hybrid. Try and do the latest questions apart from the basic knowledge. Any latest summit of G18 or on environmental pollution. Like this time it would be the COVID, can be a good question. African, there was a fire in Australia, that can be a case. There is a very recently there a gas leakage in India, that can be a good question. So try and understand those climatical hazards that are coming up recently within the past 1 2 months of the exam can be a good area of questions. Higher education, generally this focuses on the, earlier there used to be question from the what is AICTE, what is UGC, then what is NAC, what is A credit rating, what is A plus rating, what is the inspection, objective of these organizations is a good question. Then there was family questions from the uh, which college is at what ranking, what is the autonomous college. These are the certain higher education questions which can be there, right? So you can be very careful with these questions and try to go through the ranking. Generally, these ranking get published in the newspaper. Like IIT Madras has improved the ranking. There are other Indian institutions that has started to fall under the nearing the top 100 global colleges. Something like these. These questions are there. They would come, right? Which Indian college or university is ranked number one from consecutive 3 years, right? These are the type of the questions. Then there might be question how many central universities, state universities. Then there can be a question which recent stipend or scholarship government started in PhDs or internships or pursuing higher educations. These can be good questions in this area. So this is what I would like to state. But take my last advice on this is try to frame your strategy. And one more thing before ending, because I'm already reached the last slide. Let me share how to get prepared with the UGC net. Most of the people try and do from the book, but this is the one strategy that I have tried, I have tested, and trust me, on the basis of this, I can say that it is very helpful. When you start solving the last year exams, try and when you will check your answers, definitely there would be some right answer and there would be some wrong answers. Those answers which are right, you need not to worry about them. But those answers which are wrong, you need to worry about them. Try to note those questions with the correct answer in a separate notebook under proper topic headings, whether they belong to teaching aptitude or they belong to research or they belong to higher education or they belong to reasoning or they belong to data DI, and start preparing your notes. By the time you would be completing 10-year papers, you would be having good amount of questions where you have making mistakes and then you have rectified them and you have jotted down them and mark your query and mark your answer why you made a mistake. And when you will revise it, then your weakness would be removed before you are going into the real world exam. Before getting to the UGC NET exam, actual UGC NET, just try and revise only those questions which you have jotted down in your notebook, not the entire syllabus, and that is not practically feasible. And you will see that your marks would drastically improve, right? The moment you cross 30, 35 marks, no, and you have a good score in paper 2, depending from different paper, there are very high chances that you will be going and clearing the GRF, right? And I shared these strategies. I have tested them. By God's grace, I have cleared GRF twice, both the time with over more than 99 percentile. And this is the strategy which I opted. So I just shared it with you all because of the repeated queries that I was getting on how to prepare for UGC NET. I hope this would be helpful uh, in some sense to you all and wishing you all the best for your preparations. Thank you.